I keep seeing this image that God keeps putting across with Jesus on the cross, as like with like scales on each of his hands. So it's like a scales of justice or a scales of like balance. And he's like almost saying, like the seed of Caine, are good at critical analysis. Like when you can go too far with getting close to God's word, it can send you, you can start judging others or doing things in your own strength, and you end up like with abuses, like nuns coming down on like mothers, single mothers, which what happened to what my mum. She didn't have a nun, but it was like a care home for single mothers, where they'd be constantly bullying her, like that she wasn't responsible and stuff. And this is all due to sin, which Jesus was the interceder. So it's almost like God has made a way, like for it's the serpent's children in it, like Cain, his son. Like that he loves Satan or Lucifer as well, like, so he's made a way for, both the seeds of like Adam and Cain, Cain and Satan, Lucifer being the father of that seed with his son. Getting all mixed up because of V2K. So there's like a scales of justice thing going on, and it's like God's put it to me that it's like a new evolving, like where mankind's gone, like to not be like Borgs, like the angels were made more or less to appreciate God, like just keep thinking of them as being an audience. But obviously they're more than that. But that might even have something to do with the fall as well. He might have been a bit of a rebel, Satan, and like God almost, he's kind of blessing it in a weird, antiquated way. I don't think death is right, but it's almost like God's in on the joke or something, like I don't know how far this goes, because he hasn't fully revealed, because to me it does feel bad, like the fact that seed can like murder and maim. That's not right at all. It's like Jesus is saying, look to me, like they've got to be, the seed of Cain, they've got to be under his foot, because like they'll go out of control. It's part of the nature, like that has all that jealousy element and all that stuff, and that can go too far. So, seed of Adam have to like be kind of above it in a way, just to keep them under control, because some of them don't respect the main law, and all should respect the main law, like the Ten Commandments, whether the Cain seed or whether they're, like Seth and Adam, Lucifer's seed. Yeah, so that's all I've got so far, and I'm feeling really rough. Going back to that Hogwarts thing yesterday. It's almost as if it like makes life interesting. So that's the words, like that Cain's Lucifer's seed have got the good element of critical analysis. So, just to stop the bloat in like your people who take God's word and like slam it on people. That's the worst end of like being too far to just to use God's word as like a hammer on people. So that's it for today.